everyone, how are you? Welcome to my classroom. It's been a while since we've been in here. I have two projects that I wanted to tell you about today, but since I am here in my classroom, we'll just like walk around a little bit. I'm going to lock my door so that no one walks in here while I'm making a video. That's always super awkward, but here, let me just show you around a little bit. This side of the room is so fun because I have my artwork from my book up here. Everything looks super wobbly. It's because it gets humid in here and then it's hard for things to stick onto these cinder block walls. I have my little ancient history board over here, just kind of like reminds us what we're on. I have my weird schedule that changes every day. Figurative language. This is my little welcome board. I was gonna put like to Mrs. Forbes class or like to room 4 or whatever, so I'll probably do that soon. I just keep papers and stuff here. I feel like we have a lot of papers at the moment, a lot of paper assignments, more so than usual. This is how we like project things up. Like this is a whiteboard that like you could project on, but they just put TVs in front of them a couple years ago, so we use that. I need to turn that off to save energy. I've just got some books and more papers and stuff over here. It's the time of the year when things are starting to get very chaotic again. This is our good morning routine and my kind of like Lin-Manuel Miranda shrine stuff over here. This is my little like personal bulletin board over here, cabinet with some standards, social justice standards, coffee bar. These are some one-pagers that my 8th graders did for the monkey's paw. These I'm going to talk about in just a second. The rest of these posters are old. They're in lots of my other videos. Little bookshelf, little information station. I'll do like a full-on classroom tour one of these days. Library over here, and then I asked my kids to put up the chairs today because we need to sweep the floors, but I left these chairs down so that I can film with you today. Okay, so it's November. It's the second quarter of the school year. This year I'm teaching 8th grade English, 7th grade English, and 6th grade history, and I took on an extra class, so I teach 7 classes every day for extra pay because I have student loans and I have a baby who needs to go to daycare and it's outrageously expensive, and just like everything is very expensive. So it's a very busy year for me. I kind of did it to myself, but like it was like I was gonna be like really busy or really busy and then have a little bit less financial stress, so I figured I would just do that. We'll talk about 6th grade history stuff today. So what am I gonna start with? Let's start with what's behind me. So this is the first year that I did these, but I've been wanting to for a little while. I was just trying to figure out like how to make this work. So we just finished our ancient Mesopotamia unit, and I love ancient Mesopotamia. I think it's so fun to teach. This is like my, I don't know, maybe 6th or 5th year teaching ancient history, and I always taught US history before, and I have like my master's degree in US history and stuff, and like, you know, it felt like real history teachers teach US history, and then ancient is just kind of like fluff, but it's not. It's so good. It's so much fun, like, but not in a fluffy way. Like, it's super violent and super intense, and there's so much that you can study. We just studied Cyrus the Great and the Cyrus Cylinder, so we had primary sources for that. And as I've, you know, continued to teach ancient history, I've just like learned so much more about the different Mesopotamian empires. And so what I do, you could kind of like see my room has like 3 tables, and so I split them into 6 groups. So like a table was split in half, and we had Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, Hittites, Phoenicians, and Assyrians. And so that was just to kind of show that like these people existed at the same time. It's just that like different people would take over other groups of people at different times. So we just kind of like followed the power on down the line. So toward the end, we do the Assyrians, and we have so much Assyrian art. I went to the Getty a couple years ago, or like last summer, I guess. It was pretty recently. And I got to see these reliefs up close. So it's like carved stone. And back then, like this is the thing that I want students to leave my class knowing, is that all of this stuff was brightly colored back then. Like ancient history is not gray and brown. Like that is not how things would have looked. There was so much color. They put so much detail into these sculptures, and it's like pure propaganda, right? It's all about their kings and what they do in their leisure time, and they would like kill lions and the battles that they fought and like their brutality. And you know, this is Nineveh. This is where like Jonah from the Bible doesn't want to go because they are so cruel, and they have like in their own art like the king just like relaxing with some wine and his servants like fanning him with palm branches, and then like trees with heads of his enemies hanging from them. Like it's nuts. It's almost too violent sometimes. Like you almost can't teach everything in ancient Mesopotamia because it's like really intense. So anyway, I think that the ancient Assyrian reliefs are just so fascinating. So I took my own pictures at the museum, and then went on like Fiverr, you know, and had an artist from Fiverr draw like line art of this little tiny scene from an Assyrian relief. And so I have my students, after we learn all about Assyria, color them because they would have been colored. So just like imagine what this would look like, colorful. And that's why we hang them up, like to remind us, you know, all this stuff was in color at one point. And then there's a section at the bottom where they can write down the things that they learned about Assyria. So I have this on Teachers Pay Teachers. You can get like the coloring page, but before they do the coloring page, there are videos where they take notes just to get like details about Assyria. And they're, again, like they're very violent. We also read about them in our textbook, but not so much, because I'm like, this is a culture that taught each other and learned through like images in stone. Like that's how they taught each other. And they did have like captions. There were little like cuneiform captions like explaining what all the art meant. It's just wild. So for ancient Assyria teachers, people teaching this unit, I think this is so much fun. And the end product is just like really cool, like what you can hang in your classroom. I have something like this for the terracotta warriors. I have another video about that. I'm just really into taking like the actual art that they created and then giving it color, because that's how it would have looked back then. And then like last year, once we were done talking about ancient Mesopotamia, I think I was like looking at a ziggurat too, but I was like, how is this not a Lego set? Like how is there not like an ancient Babylon Lego set or an ancient Assyrian soldiers Lego set or whatever? So I just created this thing where students could, this is like our final project, and I have a blog post about this as well. I can link down below. But they have to, you know, go back and look at all the different Mesopotamian empires and choose one of the empires, and then choose like a role for a person within that empire and create a Lego character. So these are some of the examples from last year that I was just showing my students, and my students are doing these right now. Like look how cool this one is. This is an Assyrian assassin. This one is obviously inspired by the vocabulary video. So they have to write like their feet. Okay, where are they going? They are going into the grounds of Babylon to conquer it. All right. And then they have to draw something in their little Lego hands and say what it is. So this is a iron sword and shield. And then for their eyes, what do they see? So it's kind of like a body map, you know. They see fire because they are burning down the walls of Babylon. And then in their heart, like what do they love, or who do they worship? It says that they worshipped Arthur. I think that is a close but not quite. Ashur maybe. And then also a thought bubble, like what would this Lego character, what would this person be thinking about? This is for the Akkadians, this is Sargon the Great. So they could do like an actual person if they wanted. So this one is Sargon. This looks awesome. I don't know if I'm gonna get any this good this year. These are just like extra amazing. So another Assyrian soldier. We really like Assyrians because they are very fun, very scary, but very fun. This is an Assyrian artisan, so you could do like an artisan as well if you wanted to. I like this one. I like her little patched dress and everything. This one is cool. This is a real person. This is Enheduanna, who is an Akkadian priestess. I think she was the daughter of Sargon the Great, and she's like one of the world's first authors. She was a poet. So I made a video last week, I think, about my like prehistory. It's like the Paleolithic and Neolithic age lessons and the projects that we do with that. And those are a struggle for me. It's a little bit harder for me to like teach that stuff and get into that stuff because we don't really have many written records. It's mostly, you know, art and artifacts and stuff that we can find, cave art, whatever. So I like when we find more of this. Wow, this is a lot of Assyrians. So okay, we have an Assyrian soldier. This is the last one that we do before this project, so it's probably like fresh in their mind, but they're just also cool. It's an Assyrian king, so this is Ashurbanipal probably. He's thinking, okay, let's go find some lions, and there's a lion back there. Another Assyrian king, yep, King Ashurbanipal. So there's pictures of these in the like slideshow that I have on Teachers Pay Teachers. My goodness, another Assyrian soldier. They really leave an impression. This one's an Akkadian soldier, and he has like cuneiform on his little muscles there. Are those like tattoos? I don't know. Very cool. I like the little ziggurat in the background, some palm trees. So they could do like a Sumerian farmer, or a lot of people this time are doing Phoenician merchant, or like a Hittite soldier or whatever. So I think this is fun. I like when students can like bring the history to life, make like a visual reminder of the content and kind of like summarize what they found interesting, because like you'll remember what you found to be interesting. And so that's why I just kind of have them write like at the bottom of these, just write down the facts that you thought were interesting. And when they're an adult, they might, you know, hear something about ancient Assyrians and they'll be like, oh yeah, those were the people with the lions and like the zoo at the palace and stuff. I don't think that they're going to retain as much information from taking notes as they are from creating an image like this or like this, and then, you know, posting these around the classroom and like having it kind of sink into their brain even more. So I'm all about like, you know, using our textbook for some things, finding cool videos on YouTube for other things, just analyzing the actual art, using museum websites, listening to podcasts when you can find them. Sometimes we find articles on Newsella. Like I like to mix a lot of stuff together to teach ancient history. I think the textbook alone is a little bit like I don't think it can truly convey like how cool all of this history is and how cool all these empires were and stuff. So I like to do a mix. I don't really like create my own instructional materials so much for these units. I just kind of, you know, piece together a bunch of different things that I find, but then I like to create like the final project at the end. I like to do projects with these. We made our own little cuneiform tablets just like out of clay, found like a little way to translate things. They put like a quote on a little clay tablet. So that's the kind of stuff that they are gonna remember. And it's not, you know, super important to remember every single detail of all these ancient empires, but it is very cool to just kind of like have that reference point and like understand where they were. We do a lot of geography, we play map games, and like I'll show you the sign over here, but like we kind of emphasize like this is in Iraq, and we did our Cyrus cylinder stuff, and you know, like that's Persia or Iran. And so like just understanding like these places still exist, because sometimes the way that we teach these ancient empires, it feels a little bit like a fantasy world. It feels kind of pretend and magical almost. And so like grounding it in today's geography, like where was this occurring, what country was this in, is also really important to do, because yeah, it just the stories feel so much like they're from a fairy tale that it can kind of just like start to take on that type of a residence in students' brains, I think. So yeah, these are just two of the projects that we do that I thought were really fun. I'll just show you our textbook just so you can see what we use for like the basics. This is it. This is the History Alive Ancient Worlds, like the TCI, and we got an upgrade. So a couple years ago these were like purple. We had the older version, so now they look like this, and then we have an online version as well, and then we have little interactive student notebooks that they can take notes in, and I have them use those sometimes as well. There are certain lessons that I like, and then others that I'm like, this is just like, there's no point in this. So I don't always use it, but yeah, we just don't really take notes in the traditional way, because these are 11-year-olds and they have 7 periods a day. They have a lot of classes. And so they're, you know, they've got their English class and their math class and their science and their PE, and they take an elective, and there's just like a lot to do for these little 11-year-old kids who also like play piano and maybe play a sport and do all these other things. So I want them to just get like a really good like overall sense of ancient history that they can really like jump off from next year in 7th grade, and even like just like little facts and stories and stuff that'll stick with them. And then next week we're going into ancient Egypt, and they always like that because they've heard those stories. Those are the things that stay in your mind. They've heard about the Egyptian gods, and they've maybe read that Rick Riordan series, Percy Jackson. Is it? No, not Percy Jackson. It's not that, but there's one for ancient Egyptian gods and stuff. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Leave it down below if you remember. So yeah, like you have to have a schema. You have to have somewhere to put this information. And with ancient Mesopotamia, there's just like nothing. Like there's nothing to connect it to. There's nothing to stick it to in your brain, because most kids and adults don't know a ton about Middle Eastern history or have that geography really well memorized. So like we have to at least start there. And it's just hard to find other, you know, concrete pieces of knowledge to stick that to. So we work really hard on the ancient Mesopotamia unit, and we spend quite a while on that. Now we're going to move into ancient Egypt, and that'll be a little bit easier because they have a little bit stronger of a reference point. And then we do the ancient Hebrews within that unit. We could really do it with Mesopotamia as well, but we kind of save it for the Hanukkah season, and we do like a dreidel and latke party. And then when we come back from like Christmas break, winter break, we do ancient China, which is not the next chapter in the textbook, but that is when Lunar New Year occurs. So along with our ancient China unit, we do a Lunar New Year celebration, and then we do ancient India, and along with our ancient India unit, we do a holy festival celebration. Diwali is coming up really soon, but it just doesn't really make sense to put ancient India here, so we kind of like acknowledge it, but then we're gonna save that though to talk more about during ancient India. And then we do, what's after India? Greece. And our mascot is the Spartans, so we spend a little extra time on ancient Greece, and they already know a ton about like Greek gods and everything. And then the end of the year is ancient Rome, and that's always a little bit rushed. And then in 7th grade they pick up with Rome for like world history. So that's kind of our whole year at a glance. But yeah, just wanted to show you what we're up to lately. Editing, Megan is gonna be annoyed at me for babbling on so much because then I have to edit all this footage, but I feel like I miss talking to you guys, and I haven't had a chance to do very many YouTube videos lately. Again, this year has just been busy. I have a 1.5, almost 2-year-old. She'll be 2 in February, and she's just so cute and so fun right now, but it's a lot of energy. And then I have a 2nd grader, and he has piano a little bit later, and we got to do his homework and all that stuff. So it's just, the days just go by fast. They're just very, very full. I have to like feed people eventually, and like try to incorporate a healthy habit or 2 into my life every so often. I don't know. It's just a lot right now. Oh my gosh, and then I have my huge trip coming up. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to the Virgin Islands. Finally, if you've been around for a long time, you'll understand why that is so special. So I will definitely be vlogging. I'm already planning on packing this. I gotta get an extra like battery. I gotta get some more little memory cards and stuff. I can't wait. That is actually like next week. I'm leaving at the end of next week. So I have like 8 days until I go and start the first leg of the journey. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I gotta get my presentation ready. I gotta get packed. There's so much to do, but I cannot wait. So that content will be coming up and I am thrilled. I'm so excited. I can't wait for you guys to see the Virgin Islands with me. I can't wait to just like, I'm just gonna bring my camera everywhere, take pictures, take video, Instagram stories, vlog, everything. I wanna remember everything. Ignore my messy desk back there. Okay, I will see you guys later. Let me know in the comments down below how you're doing. I miss chatting on YouTube. I miss your comments. So I will see you very soon in a very fun video. Talk to you guys later. Bye.